I'm back. I had to cut this short because I had to run out. And I wanted to actually make this snippy because you don't have time. And I am out of time as well. I have some chicken cooking in the oven, and I want to make sure that I get to it before the timer goes off, which means that I don't have a lot of time. and I'm just going to set my timer right here so that I don't forget and actually burn the chicken. And that would be really bad. So I'm going to try to make this quick. And I'm reapplying some makeup. This is the end of the day. Okay. I have been to my son's school. I have done the thing of, volunteering in the whole bit. And why am I reapplying makeup at this point? Because I'm about to wash it off within the next hour. I don't know. It just feels like the right thing to do. So we're just going to go with it. Okay. Anywho, visiting with my son's school was great. It was a lot of fun, actually. It was, standing up and walking for I don't know, an hour and a half or so, which is fine because I'm dressed comfortably. And it also, the teachers were so appreciative. This is something the school does once a month. They invite parents to come in to monitor the lunchroom so the teachers can actually go to a totally separate room and have lunch without the background noise of children. And ma'am, I appreciate that. They pour so much into our kids. It's the least I can do. Nevertheless, I will say, and I have something, a reel or some content to record about this as well in terms of mom guilt and how all that plays into this, the continuity of life piece. When you are in a new city and you don't have any family support around you, meaning it takes you more than 30 minutes to get to your family or to get to people that you know and love. I said before that one thing that you should do is to look for babysitters at your kid's daycare or at your kid's school. They're already vetted. They've already had a background check. You know who they are. More than likely, the student, the kid knows who they are, so they're comfortable with them. All you really need to do is just make sure they understand what your requirements are in terms of how you like to run your household, what bedtimes are, and things like that. That is always a huge, huge, huge help. If you're in a situation where you don't have someone who is sort of a daycare situation, if you are someone who is a stay-at-home mom and you don't have a daycare, you don't have, your kid's not in school yet, one thing that I can definitely tell you about is my lifesaver was care.com. And I don't even know if there are any new sites available now, but care.com actually was, and this is not sponsored, that is how I found my babysitter. She was an absolute godsend, and it was amazing to have her around. Of course, sometimes you got to kiss a few frogs before you end up with a prince or princess in this case for me, but it was worth it. And to some degree, and this is very hard for us to do as parents, as mothers, to some degree, you got to let go and you got to just go with it. Of course, trust your gut. If you don't feel safe and comfortable with your kid around this person, then obviously don't leave your kid with that person. But you got to trust your gut and, do a trial test. Have them babysit your child while you're in the home. Perhaps you're, in your office doing some work while they're playing with the kid in the living room, something like that. Just little tests. You can kind of test the water and feel how comfortable you feel with that person, how comfortable the kid feels with that person, if you like their style or if you don't. I've always had my babysitters on at least a 2-week trial period, and I let them know this up front. You were on a 2-week trial period. I like your style. I just want to try you out, make sure you're actually a good fit in the home. And if, things are good after 2 weeks for both you and for me, then cool, we'll continue on. If not, then we'll go our separate ways. And, good luck to you in finding your next opportunity. No hard feelings at all because you're dealing with your most precious asset that you cannot replace, which is your child. So find yourself babysitter, find yourself some help. One thing that I did with my second kid was, I never in a million years thought I would do this, but I did, and that is to hire a night nurse. So if you are at the have a kid and you're at the age where it's a newborn. So another thing to keep in mind is, and this is really, really hard, is to make time for yourself. Perhaps you're working a 9 to 5 while your kid is at daycare or at school, and it's just you and them kids. When you get home from work with those kids, you were on it. You were on the regimen, on the routine, taking them to, sports events if they're old enough, and to activities if they're old enough, or you're just perhaps just taking them, to the park to get some fresh air, getting dinner on the table and getting bath time together, and doing the night routine of story time and prayer, or whatever it is that you do during your evening time. This is something that no one will tell you, right? Everyone says sleep when the baby sleeps. We know that's not true. That nobody can do that. Okay? What I'm going to say, and take this with a grain of salt and use it with caution because I don't want anybody losing their job over this. Find your personal time during breaks while you're at work. Yep. Mm-hmm. Between meetings and between calls. Right. So for those of us who are able to work from home, the beauty is that you can be work appropriate from the neck up and have a party going on downtown, in terms of, wearing shorts or pajamas or whatever it is you want to wear. Um, I would find myself, and actually, when I was doing this was before the days of Zoom, so it literally was a conference call. I might be fully in my pajamas, but as soon as the call was over, if there was a spare 15 minutes, that's when I took my shower. That's when I, took that power nap. That's when I took a moment and just sort of, meditated or said a prayer or had my private time or whatever that case may be. My quiet personal time, my time for self care came in the meantime in between time at work during the 9 to 5, not in the after hours, because you don't have after hours time. When your kids at home, they fully expect you to be at home, to be present, to play with them, to, kiss their boo-boos and to hear about their stories and to, read them stories and all these things, which is all so perfect and amazing and beautiful. And yes, you should cherish it. And yes, you should take advantage of it, all those things. However, you still need time for you. Because if you're not good, then kids ain't gonna be good. And if the kids ain't good, then the house ain't good. And it's just, I said that with the incorrect grammar with which I meant it. Okay. So find your private time, find your self care time in between time while you're at work. Don't get yourself fired. Don't skip out on opportunities or meetings or obligations that you have at work. Don't wake up like, oh, I was just taking a nap. I'm sorry. Use your common sense and your professional judgment in terms of how you do that. But just look at that work time as an opportunity to take some of your me times, some of your personal time when you're in the down times, between meetings or between calls. If you go into an office or go into a building or a facility, perhaps you work in a restaurant or something like that. I've never worked restaurant work, so I can't truly speak to that. But if there are breaks between your shift, uh-oh, that's my chicken. If there are breaks, use that break time, to go, perhaps you go out back and just take a moment and meditate and breathe and just, use whatever time that you have because every second of your day is precious. That's another thing that I would say to do. Look for babysitters, at your daycare, at your school, at your, wherever you take your kid during the day while you're at work. Search care.com. If you know of people who have babysitters, perhaps you ask your neighbor or ask someone that's nearby you, or perhaps you've met somebody, a cashier at the grocery store who you have a rapport with. And that's the only person you get a chance to talk to because you're in this new foreign city. Ask them, hey, do you have kids? And hey, I'm looking for a babysitter. Do you happen to know people? Of course it can be dicey. Use your judgment and your intuition because, asking random people in the grocery store. But sometimes, depending on the town that you're in, it might lead you down the right path to finding the right person who is appropriate and who is, appropriately qualified and has the right intention and the right sense and the right capability to help you out with your, with your household and with your kid. Yeah, I think that's it for right now. Just two big things. I think those are my huge two takeaways. Having lived in 1, 2, 3 different cities, where I did not have a lot of people nearby. Actually, my kids they're born in San Francisco, California. We have family out that way, but my closest family members were an hour away, which is helpful, yes. In the middle of the night, I can't just call them up and say, hey, can you come and help? Would they come? Yes, because we love them and they love us. However, it's just that's a hike. So, find who you can find. Certainly when you reach out to pediatricians and to your nurses, and whoever is helping to take care of your child from a primary care perspective, ask them for recommendations as well, because you never know who they know. And if you have a pediatrician that you like, chances are, If they know someone or know someone who knows someone, or perhaps they have another patient who has recommended someone, that is like a gold mine that you're able to kind of, nail that back to a reputable source. So, in any case, I got to go get my chicken before it burns. Thank you for joining. Please leave a comment down below. What are some tips that you have of moving to a new city where you may not necessarily know anyone or have any relatives who are close by, and you were basically out on your own and had to do this all by yourself? What tips did you use? What things did you use? What resources did you use? What kept you going in terms of surviving that situation? I want to start a conversation down in the comments about this because it's one of the things that not a lot of folks talk about. And it's a very hard process to go through. So take care of yourself, take care of those around you, take care of them kids, and I will talk to you next time. Again, share, subscribe, comment. I would love to hear from you. Take care. Bye.